I thought it'd be really fun to share with you a glimpse behind the scenes here at Ridgeview, sharing the journey from grape to glass with a couple of the most wonderful people we have working here, our vineyard manager Matt and my brother Simon, our winemaker. Enjoy.
Hello, I'm Matt. I'm the vineyard manager here at Ridgeview Wine Estate, and I've been working here since 2002. We're standing in this amazing block of Chardonnay, and why is it amazing? We've got the South Downs just over there. During the growing season, if we get bad weather coming in from the southwest, some rain or something like that, you can see the clouds, they start forming and bubbling up literally above us, and by the time the rain's falling, it's gone, it's over there. So that's one thing. We've got a really nice sort of microclimate going on here. We're south facing, it's fairly well sheltered, quite nicely protected from the prevailing wind. It's a wonderful patch of land, this, for growing grapes on. So I get quite enthusiastic about that. So we've got Chardonnay here. It's 25 years old, one of the oldest blocks of Chardonnay in the country. We've got some Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier in our other field, which is just through the woods there. Pinot Meunier not so well known. Pinot Noir, I'm sure you've all heard of. They can make red wine, but you can also make white wine from them, because the colour when you're red wine making comes from the skins, and because we're pressing them gently, all we get is white juice coming from them. The vines are growing in this amazing, it's almost like being in the Mediterranean at the moment. Beautiful weather, really warm and sunny, and we're just coming up to a key stage of flowering. So what I'll do is I'll explain what leads up to flowering and what we do after flowering. Let's imagine we're in the middle of winter, December time, and me and my assistant and a couple of other guys will be out here pruning the vines, which takes us right the way through to about the end of January. So we prune them, we then have to tie these canes down. These are our fruit-bearing canes, and we tie those down in March, just in time for bud burst, which can happen any time in April. The buds start swelling as the temperatures start to warm up a little bit, but of course the temperatures in the day might warm up a little bit, but at night it can still get very cold. So while the buds are developing and they start to shoot, or bud burst as we call it, we have to come out and protect against any late frosts that happen during the spring. So we have a number of bougies. I'm sure you might have seen pictures of them being lit up on social media and so forth. That's what we do at night during the spring, is we light these bougies, and it just stops the temperature getting to freezing levels and damaging the new shoots. From that point on, they grow really fast, and we're now just about at flowering, another really important time of year. If flowering is nice in this sort of weather, it means we get a nice big crop. The timing of flowering is very important because it helps us to plan when we're going to be doing our harvesting as well. And all being well, we'll have lovely weather throughout flowering, get a nice big healthy crop, and what happens then is the canopy continues to grow, and we have to trim the tops and trim the sides, and we have to keep it really neat, because whatever sunshine we do get, we need it to get on these, as many as these leaves, and get these leaves working as effectively as possible. After that point, the little clusters here will start forming grapes, and you'll see them expanding throughout July and August, and that's when they start to ripen. We're in the ripening stage. We're then constantly monitoring the fruit, checking how much sugar there is, how the acidity reduces, so we're measuring that so that we know that we're at the optimum time to harvest the grapes, and then we send them on their way, wave goodbye to them, off to Simon in the winery.
Hi, I'm Simon Roberts, head winemaker at Ridgeview. I've been here for 25 years now. I joined Mum and Dad when we planted our first vineyards all that time ago. So I'm going to take you on the second part of the journey for the grapes. Matt's explained how we grow the grapes and bring them up to the winery. I'm going to explain the second half of that journey. So they're hand-picked, and then we hand-load them into our presses. They go through a very slow, gentle press. It's about 3 hours. We get 55% of the juice. We then take that juice, put it into all these different tanks. We have lots of small tanks, so we keep every variety from every vineyard, from every grower, separate up until blending. So we take the juice, we add some yeast. If we have to, we'll add some sugar. We'll ferment that to 10.5% alcohol. We'll go through a couple other processes, and then it's ready to be bottled. So this is our bottling line. So we've turned the juice into wine. That's at 10.5% alcohol. Now at this point, we'll add the yeast and the sugar for the second fermentation. So we take an empty bottle, it goes onto the line. This line runs at 4,000 bottles an hour, so it keeps the team pretty busy keeping up with it. The bottles are rinsed. We add the wine with some yeast and some sugar. It then has a crown cap, like a beer bottle cap, and this is where the second fermentation takes place. Now we've added the yeast. Okay, so now we're in the cellar. So we were actually one of the first wineries to have a dedicated underground cellar. This is where we can age all our wines for the second fermentation. So down here is a constant temperature between 14 and 15 degrees throughout the year. The wines now, they've gone through the second fermentation. Part of that process is the carbon dioxide, which is held in the bottle. That gives us our bubbles, all our sparkles. When that fermentation's finished, which takes about 3 months, the yeast will settle out and create a bed along the bottom of the bottle, and this is where we get all those flavours that we associate with sparkling wine. So it will start off as a yeasty flavour, and then it will develop into that bready, brioche, and then onto toast. So our wines down here will age for anywhere between 3 years for our limited releases to 10 years for our magnums. So now we're in Winery 3, and this is where we finish all the wine. So the wine's come up from the cellar where it's been aging. It's come up horizontal. We now need to get rid of all the sediment and put the cork in. So it goes through a process called riddling. So the bottles are turned left and right and slowly tipped upside down over 5 days. All the sediment is then rocked into the neck of the bottle. It then goes on to our degorging line. So this conveyor belt, we load the bottles onto it. It sits above a glycol bath, which is chilled down to -20. It takes 12 minutes to get from one end of the conveyor belt to the other. When it gets to that end, there's a plug of ice with all the sediment trapped in the bottle. It's lifted the right way up, the glycol's rinsed off, and then it goes onto our degorging line. So at that point, it's the right way up. There's 6 bar of pressure in here. The first rotation, the crown cap's flicked off, the pressure in the bottle pushes a plug of ice out. You have a clear bottle of wine. Second rotation, we take a little bit of wine out, we add some sugar solution. Because of that second fermentation, all the sugars turn to alcohol, so it's a very dry wine, so we just need that sugar to balance the wine. Then goes on to the last station where we add the cork, we add the crown muesli that you associate with sparkling wine. Then each bottle is agitated to homogenize the sugar in the wine solution, and then it's rested for 3 months on cork before it gets ready for labelling.
Well, I really hope you enjoyed the behind-the-scenes tour at Ridgeview. We're all really excited to welcome you here in the future when you can come and drink in the view with us. Cheers.